Everyday Juggler, your source for juggling highlights, interviews, tutorials, and reviews. And now your host, Sean Livingston.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in to this edition of Everyday Juggler Profiles. Today we get to hang out with Quinn Lewis. Thanks so much for being with us, Quinn. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been juggling, and what you're most excited about when it comes to juggling right now.
Well, thanks a lot, Sean. I'm really happy you're having me for this, so I appreciate it. I live in Rochester, New York. I've been juggling for off and on for about 20 years. I started when I was 7 years old, and was kind of into it for a while, and then took a little break for college. But after I graduated in 2010, I'm back into it full force. As far as what I like in juggling, I really enjoy nice, tight, controlled 3 and 4 ball patterns mostly. There are a couple 5 and 6 ball patterns that I like that aren't typical cascade or fountain variations, but just really clean, easy looking ball paths with more complicated hand movements underneath.
All right, so what are you working on right now what are you working at right now?
Oh man, well, I'm working on this long squeeze catch video. I made a shorter one that you said you saw with the squeeze collects, which are great. They're a nice little way to finish a sequence or finish a show or something like that. But this longer video is going to go into squeeze patterns using squeeze catches within runnable patterns, some of the math behind them, the site swap notation behind them, and a lot of kind of practice exercises to get used to the feeling of different types of squeeze catches that hopefully will allow people to be a little more comfortable trying to start learning them. So that's the big project right now. Other than that, it's just trying to keep an hour a day set aside for practicing, which is kind of tough, but it's a good break from life, you know.
That's pretty awesome. I'm excited, and I think we'll probably all be excited to get a little more guidance, theoretically too, on things like squeeze catches. And if you do a great job, we'll look forward to more videos.
Yeah, I hope
sure
so.
You will.
Yeah, let's see. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
You already met Ava, but for everybody else, this is Ava, my daughter. So I've got her tonight because my wife is still working. So if she's crying or something, we might have to cut the video. So don't get mad if she starts crying. All right, Quinn. So you said you started when you were 7 years old.
Yes.
What inspired you to start at such a young age?
Oh, man. Well, it was one of my father's friends that was the first person to teach me, and we were just over at his house, and I saw those, those Dubé 4-paneled vinyl beanbags, just a little set of 3 up on the shelf, and I was curious if he could juggle, because I'd never seen anyone really juggle in person before, and he showed me the cascade, nice and high and slow, and I really just was fascinated. And over the next week or so, he taught me a simple cascade. And this was, of course, before all of the awesome YouTube and Facebook videos and all that, so I didn't have a lot of internet to go by. But books and hooking up with some friends later on that could teach me some tricks were really helpful in that early period. But I just think there's something so aesthetically pleasing to look at. It's really the core of juggling, right? Is it's cool to look at. And I guess I thought it was especially cool when I was 7.
So you were 7 and you thought that juggling looked really awesome and you wanted to do it.
Yeah. I've always been kind of the nerdy, interesting hobby kind of guy, and that fit the bill perfectly, even when I'm at a younger age like that.
So that's when you were 7, and when you were in high school, did you juggle much? Did you find some friends that like to juggle?
Yeah, I did. Through school, I learned all your easy 3-ball tricks and stuff in a couple of years. I had a nice little repertoire of 3-ball easy stuff like everyone does. And when I got into middle school, I met a friend who was way more into it than me. His name was Matt Baum. And he taught me a lot, got me into 4 or 5-ball stuff. And we actually had a little duo for a time performing at, school events and
that's awesome.
Town, street shows and things like that. That was kind of fun. But even still then, it was all very basic, very plain, the standard juggling of the mid-90s. Oh, sorry, my computer went down. And then I went off to school and kind of took a little break because there was just no time for it. But now we're back, baby. We're back.
Well, most people when they go to college, they have time for things like juggling. So what was it about your college experiences?
Oh, well, I was extremely fortunate to attend the Eastman School of Music here in Rochester for saxophone and music ed. And at a conservatory like that, you're pretty much expected to, outside of rehearsal, like no outside of ensembles and coachings and lessons, to practice 6 to 8 hours a day. Like that's just your life, is playing all day, every day. So that didn't leave too much time for juggling. I, pittered and pattered around a little bit here and there, but nothing serious during school. But now that that's all over, I can get back into it a little bit more.
Right. Yep. I remember my music major friends. I didn't see them very much.
Nope. You're either in the practice room or sleeping.
In the practice room.
Yeah. Right.
So now the reason I wanted you to talk about that a little bit is because I was wondering if kind of, music majors do a ton of music theory, and I was wondering how that's sort of impacted how you see juggling.
Yeah, huge impact. I've been thinking about this all day since I knew we were probably going to talk about it a little bit. With music, it's a lot of, you only have 12 notes. That's it. That's all you got, unless you're going into other tunings. But you have 12 notes, and it's the order of those notes, it's the length of those notes, it's the attack and the dynamics. It's all patterns. It's patterns that you recognize looking at a page of music, or if someone's teaching you a song orally. It's pattern recognition and recall. And it's how quickly and cleanly you can recall once you recognize the pattern that makes you a good, I don't want to say makes you a good musician, but it helps you along the way to becoming a good musician. So I think having all of that experience in decoding, or whatever you want to call it, the music, kind of made my brain function a little bit quicker so that I could, think of something I wanted to do juggling wise, and it would translate to my hands a little quicker, maybe because of that, possibly.
Okay. So kind of practice with learning patterns, recognizing patterns, and recalling patterns.
Yep. And then being able to execute those quickly and accurately.
Mm-hmm.
I think that helped a lot.
Mm-hmm. In the interview I did with David Nair, we were talking about force bounce juggling. I don't know if you saw it, but we were talking about how the ball with normal toss juggling, you kind of figure out the rhythm based on how the ball lands in your hands and listening to it and feeling it. But with bounce juggling, it's not like that because the beat hits the ground.
Right, of course. Well, you got two beats. You got the beat on the ground, and then you got the beat in your hand, right?
Right.
Yeah. Well, I guess some of that kind of can translate too. Like I know if a pattern is solid if the rhythm is even. And I think being a trained musician to that level has kind of made me tune into, even though it may seem like it's even, to me it's not even yet. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's where my desire for cleanliness kind of comes from, maybe, from the music stuff.
Desire to be, so when you say cleanliness, you mean like for everything to be really sharp and crisp?
Yeah, consistency, I guess, maybe. If we're talking about patterns, juggling patterns, mm-hmm. Having that catch or that throw in the same location in space, catching the ball in the same location in your hand, exact same height, every throw, like that, just the technical kind of stuff mm-hmm. with the juggling. With music, of course, you have the whole affect of the emotive kind of thing, which I'm not super into with the juggling. I like more just pure technique. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think just being repetitive and performing, you have to be so confident before you go into a musical performance, and I think that helps a lot with my juggling.
Okay, so would you say that you probably above average will practice something over and over, like one thing, like one piece of a pattern over and over and over again?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've been working on 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 with 5 for like 2 years, and I can still. I'm only happy with like 4 cycles of it. And then it gets a little lopsided. Yep. So yeah, definitely, it gets really frustrating. But I want that certain level of cleanliness, and it's okay if I get frustrated. It happens.
Yeah, I think I have a music background as well, but not quite as deep as yours. But I think because of that, I sort of struggle with that. Like, I really want things to be crisp, but then, and you probably struggle with this too, but I also want to like accomplish that next thing. I want to be able to say I did that next thing.
And it's okay. I think that's a good thing to do. And that's in music too. Like you can nail a lick or feel comfortable like you ran through this lick and you got to the end and you made it, but maybe you wanted to change a couple things in the middle, you know? So I agree. I think there is a certain satisfaction from just getting to the end and saying, okay, I did this, but okay, now let's go clean it up.
Right,
you know?
right. Cool. So you graduated from Eastman. I think you said you had 2 degrees by the end, which is super impressive for a music school.
Yeah.
And
it was fun.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just gonna say it was 2 degrees in saxophone performance and music education, but it wasn't as bad as you thought because the music ed degree kind of encompasses a performance degree. So there wasn't any like super extra workload involved. It was just a piece of paper I had to sign.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you shouldn't tell people that.
Okay. Fair enough.
So then you got done with school. You had all this time, and that's kind of, you were like, I need to get back to juggling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just I was looking for a new hobby because I didn't have to play 8 hours a day like I was in school, and I remembered how much I enjoyed just juggling and kind of getting into the zone and blocking everything else out for an hour or whatever it was. And I still at that point had no idea about the presence on the internet of great jugglers and videos and things like that. So once that came into my life, it was like done. I was ready to go.
Well, I mean, even that has changed so much in the last 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's both great and terrible. It's great because there's so much exposure for so many people, but it's terrible because I thought I had this great idea and like 5 other people already posted it. Back in the day, it's like, oh, I invented this and I didn't know it better. But nowadays, it's kind of hard to come up with something new and inventive.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of juggling communities have you been part of along the journey?
At the moment, I'm just obviously the Facebook groups online. I don't know if that really counts, but RIT has a great juggling club. A lot of really talented jugglers. We're super spoiled having the caliber of jugglers we do. So I go to them, even though I don't go to RIT. I still hang out with those guys at their meetings. Before I moved up here from Philly, I went to a couple of the Philly Jugglers meetings as often as I could. That was a good hour away from the city, so it wasn't super practical. But other than that, it's been a lot of just friends that I've met, and a couple people hanging out, sharing ideas, and passing a little bit, which I'm terrible at, but it's still fun. So I'm not huge into the community as of yet. I think the internet's right now the biggest community I'm a part of as far as juggling goes.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Have you had any jugglers that you've looked up to?
Oh man, so many. Early on, it was Jason Garfield, Mark Nizer, the classics of the 90s, late 80s into the 90s. Super inspiring to watch those guys. Jason Garfield was one of the first guys I saw on the internet, which kind of sparked me into wanting to get into it more. But nowadays, it's more like Mike Moore, who I know and interviewed, and just such a wonderful, technical, clean, fast. I love everything about his juggling. I can't say enough about him. Guys like him, like Falco Scheffler, Andrew Olson, and then of course the whole constituent of Asian and Japanese jugglers that are just doing mind-boggling stuff with 3 and 4 that I hope someday I can even get close to touching. So that type of juggler, the real quick, precise 3/4 ball stuff, really inspires me.
Okay, great. Have you done any performing with juggling, or is it mostly just technical?
Yeah, for me, I did so much performing as a musician that I'm kind of burnt out. I don't want that pressure anymore, and I know it shouldn't be pressure, but there's always a little bit of pressure. And when I was younger, I used to do school assemblies and go out on the street when it's a nice day and put a hat out, that kind of stuff, but never any kind of serious big stage show kind of juggling. For me, it's more just a personal thing, more of a personal interest that keeps my brain sharp and keeps me active and keeps me from being bored, which I hate when people say they're bored because there's so much you can do in life. But I don't know. Performing a big show like that, I don't think is in my future. I don't think, which is fine. I'd be happy to watch a show any day, but I wouldn't want to get up on that stage.
That is totally understandable. You mentioned that you try to squeeze an hour of practice in every day.
I try, yeah. Any chance I get, even if it's sitting with my wife watching TV, I'll grab 3 balls, and she's already gotten into the habit of just tuning out the constant that, so she doesn't mind, which I'm grateful for. But yeah, it's busy being an adult, and any time I can get that I can have to myself, I'm probably juggling.
I like that. I wish that was the case for me, but
yeah, well, you got a nice little one there to take care of too.
Well, okay, that's I guess I don't wish I was only juggling because she's awesome.
When are you gonna do the what is it, 5-2-5-2-1 or whatever it is, the baby juggling trick, where the baby's the one?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, I'll have to send it to you. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, it's safe.
People always ask me if I juggle her, and I say only when my wife's not home.
Okay, good. And not on video.
Yeah, not on video.
That's awesome.
So you're into box juggling, and you've also done some squeeze catches, and you're gonna be making a video that's gonna illuminate that more for us, so we can kind of learn how to do them and understand them. What kind of tips do you have for people that are just looking to get into box juggling in general?
Oh man, watch a ton of videos. I think and this is something that I didn't do, my standard box pattern was so sloppy for so long, and I just a couple months ago finally decided to clean it up. And I think getting that as crisp as you can first, and having that control on just standard 4-2X star, that's it. And then slowly incorporating, maybe getting into a slam throw here and there, getting Luke's shuffle down, experimenting with just different types of throws of the 2X especially. Mm-hmm. You can do a lot just with that 2X being positioned differently and how you throw it and catch it. From there, maybe try some crossing, maybe throw the 4s as underarms or overarms. Mm-hmm. Just kind of work your way into variations like you would with a cascade or with anything else. And a lot will come. There's so much online, so many just databases of box patterns, it seems like. And I don't know, it's a whole nother class. It's just like the new cascade, the box is the new cascade.
Yeah, it's true. And it's fun to watch. It's one of those things where if you don't know anything about it, you're just kind of like, what is going on right now? Like how are those? It seems like those balls aren't moving. Yeah,
especially watching like Falco Scheffler's couple videos that are up on the web. Like you can't even tell which hand is on which prop. Like he's so fast and so clean that the balls just move themselves and his hands are just kind of doing whatever, which is great. I would love to be there someday, but there are, of course, some cool patterns you can do that involve some higher throws and yada yada. But just watch a lot of videos and just stick with it and keep cleanliness at the forefront of your mind when you're working these patterns, because it's super easy to get those 2X's really sloppy and ended up being just like a pass off rather than a throw like an actual 2X would be. So instead of crunching yourselves in, just keep your arms still shoulder width like you would.
That's a great tip.
Yeah.
Because it's really easy to pull them close.
Oh, yeah. Still guilty of that sometimes.
Well, I mean, sometimes you got to.
Yeah.
If you want to keep on track.
That's right.
How have you seen juggling? How has juggling affected your life?
That's a really good question. I've never really thought about that. Well, it's definitely allowed me to meet some incredibly cool, super interesting, super talented people that I would have not otherwise had a chance to meet. I'm really grateful for that. I've met a lot of really good friends through, especially the RIT Juggling Club, that I hope to be friends with forever, and continue to grow both as friends and as jugglers together. And it's just wonderful. I would never have even come close to meeting these guys otherwise. Other than that, it more just kind of keeps me sane, I guess. Keeps my brain sharp, and keeps my dexterity there. Keeps my hand-eye coordination really good. And if I'm about to drop something at work, I usually catch it pretty quick.
Yeah, right.
It's more. I think it's more the social impact that has affected me the most.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Have you seen it affect other people's lives likewise, or in any other ways?
Um, it's hard to say. Of course I can't speak on their behalfs, but I know a lot of the guys at RIT that I hang out with. They have similar types of brains as I do. They're very spatial, very mechanical minded, and um, maybe that going back to that whole pattern recognition thing. Maybe for them, juggling helps their pattern recognition in other ways, just like music affected my pattern recognition in juggling.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just speculation. I can only guess.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So here's some quick fire questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite trick or pattern to do?
Inverted box.
Okay. What about to watch?
Ooh. I think, that's really hard. See, I could give you classes of tricks, but an actual trick or pattern? Okay, my favorite pattern to watch, I think, would probably be Mike Moore's high-low around inverted box that he put up a video of 4 cycles of a couple months back. You have to put it on half speed to watch it. You just have to. And luckily he shot it at 60 frames per second, so you can actually see what's going on at half speed.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things, like you said, you can't even tell what's happening until you just sit and watch it for a good 20 minutes, and then you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something I probably won't be able to do for a long time, so I really enjoy watching that 7-second video over and over. It's a good time.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I guess you're going to have to bump your practices to 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I guess so.
Favorite festival you've been to?
RIT Juggling, for sure. Definitely the most awesome fest ever.
All right. And what about it was so valuable to you?
You just get people coming from all over who are all, and I'm sure this is true with most festivals, but everyone's just super nice, super respectful. You don't feel weird like going up to someone you've never met and like asking them about their pattern or their trick they're doing. The space is wonderful that they use there. Nice, super duper high ceilings and big wide open space. And Jeff Peden always does a great job organizing and running workshops and performances and breakouts. And it's just it's got something for everybody, which I try and just get to as many of those things as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a great fest. Everyone should come if they can.
So really, you just like everything about it.
Yeah, there's no downside, and I can go home. I don't have to go back to a hotel.
That's true. Well,
yeah.
So everybody, when you're at RIT Festival, you know where to stay.
That's right. You can come on over.
We won't tell your wife.
Okay, fair enough. Stay in the basement.
Favorite prop to use? Not that we don't
beanbags.
know that already.
Yeah, that's all I do. Spinny things or ring-shaped things. They hurt too much.
It's true.
Too painful.
Your favorite brand of beanbags?
Ooh, John Nord's juggling thingies. They're the only beanbags I've ever used, aside from that very first set that my dad's friend let me borrow. He makes the best bags that last forever. These are my newest ones I've got from him that are extra conducive to squeeze catches because they're so squishy.
Mm-hmm.
They're an ultra leather with steel BBs inside.
Oh, interesting.
So they're super underfilled, but they're still 130 grams, which is great.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I've always found that and I'm sure a lot of people have, that a heavier beanbag you can be a little more consistent. Like balls don't tend to fly all over the place like with a lighter weight ball. But it's hard to get a heavy ball that squishes so much. So we kind of were chatting for a little while and came up with the whole steel BB thing, and they were just perfect. I will never use another beanbag.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. All right, so you said they were 160 grams?
130.
130 grams. Okay, I was thinking that's pretty heavy. All right.
I do have some other ones from him that are not underfilled that are, I think, 150 or 155, but they're a lot bigger than these. I don't really use them for faster, tighter patterns anymore. But for 4-ball, 5-ball, more up in the air stuff, I'll still use those on occasion.
Has he made baby beanbags before, or was that kind of like since you needed something a little bit heavier, he just thought of it for you?
I think what he does is he uses plastic pellets normally, and he, I think, adds BBs just to modify the weight to get that last like half a gram accurate,
Yeah.
But I was telling him how much I love the weight, but I want a squishy bag, and he's like, well, let's just try it with just BBs and see if you like that. And he sent me 3, and they were just the most perfect thing. So I ordered a ton of them. They were great.
That's awesome. That's good to know. I'm gonna do a review on a set of bags I have from him.
Yeah, I saw your drop props. You said you're going to do his next. I love them. You can't beat them in my mind.
Yeah, that they seem definitely the most. I've ordered a bunch of different sets from a bunch of different companies or people.
Oh, cool.
And they definitely seem like the most quality so far.
Yeah, and he stitches everything by hand. I mean, all those seams are all just him and a needle and thread, and super nice supple ultra leather that's really thin and doesn't bulk up the ball at all.
Mm-hmm.
And his turnaround's quick, and his prices are awesome. Super nice guy all around.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Let's see here. Favorite music to listen to while practicing?
Probably anything in like the minimalistic genre of music. Steve Reich or Michael Gordon or John Adams, like just the real easy, repetitive music that you don't have to think so much about while you're listening to it. I also enjoy a lot of the kind of Baroque process-based, like a lot of J.S. Bach and Vivaldi and those guys who do a lot of process-based music that's still really emotive. I like that in the background sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, mostly the minimal stuff, I think.
All right. And then your best practice tip?
Ooh, don't practice one trick for too long. I think I got that from music too. If you are just shedding one thing forever and ever and getting more and more frustrated, you're just doing damage to yourself. It's not going to get better. So just put it aside, work on something else, and then come back to it tomorrow, and it'll probably be a little bit improved from the day before. So don't stick with one thing for over 10 minutes, I'd think. Unless you're working on like a 7-up or something, and then work for an hour on it. But 3 and 4 ball patterns, just keep it short, keep it sweet, and do it every day. A little bit every day.
Mm-hmm. All right, I like that. All right, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to talk about?
You did a great job, man. I don't know. I just think I guess I have one thing. So in regards to notation of juggling patterns, I kind of have a little bit of beef with site swap notation. And although I don't know a ton about it, I know Luke Burridge kind of redid that into beat map notation, I think it's called, where rather than just talking about the throws like site swaps do, it talks about what's happening on each beat as far as throwing or catching, or I'm sure there's more. I don't know a ton about it, but I think the notation could be improved drastically and be easier to understand, include things like throwing placement, catching placement in 3D space, and I don't know. I just think there's a lot of room for improvement in our notation that could help other people who are more visual learners, or more, they like to read and then do rather than watch and try and imitate.
Mm-hmm.
That could help maybe to read through a pattern and know, okay, that's a back cross, and then I'm going to catch it up here rather than down here, and be able to read through it like that a little easier.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Yeah, that was something I was thinking about a little bit with Ameron Rosvall, about like site swap patterns for clubs is just totally inadequate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But then you get into the whole thing of, okay, so you've got, let's say at some point someone fixes the site swap notation for a single juggler with beanbags. Then, like you said, you've got club, a whole separate thing with clubs, and then passing, you've got a whole separate thing, and Diablo, you got a whole separate thing. So it would be nice, even though it would probably be impossible to combine props, but it would be nice to have just a single system of notation that works, at least for a single juggler, with maybe balls, clubs, rings, that kind of thing, to bring that all together. I don't know.
I was just thinking about music. There's, 7 notes on a staff, right? Or 7, well, not counting.
5 lines, 4 spaces, and then all the...
Well, yeah, okay. So, yeah, you've got, so 11 or 12. What is it, 12? That's, you could use that, each spot, C could be a ball and D could be a ball. You could have up to 12 balls. I've actually thought about this before, that like using a music clef would be helpful.
That is super interesting. And to that effect, you could incorporate other notation like dynamics or
Right.
like articulation, staccato, legato, accents, all that stuff to signify other things in juggling. And that is very interesting. And then you could actually write out the rhythm of the pattern too. Like sometimes, like if you wanted to put 5-3-1 instead of having it just be an evenly divided beat, if you wanted to lopside it, you could do that. Like if you wanted the 5 to be a little low, so everything is a little lopsided as far as the rhythm, the music staff notation, juggling notation could work.
Yeah, this is great. This is a conspiracy to unwittingly teach jugglers how to read music.
Hey, there you go. Or the other way around, how to teach musicians how to juggle.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it would catch on, but I feel like everything that is needed for a good juggling notation is contained in music notation.
Yeah. Well, then there's also, I mean, if you look at guitar music or any kind of this string instrument music, you've got tablature, which I don't know if you're too familiar with how tablature works. That's like the cheat sheet, you know? So I wonder if there's some way to combine and modify, maybe not use an actual staff notation, but something in that same class that would be able to lay out spatially rather than just a string of numbers with subscripts and superscripts and all that.
Right.
That might be interesting.
All right. Well, I look forward to you developing that.
I'll be calling for help, I'm sure.
All right, sounds good. All right, so if people wanted to find you online, find your stuff online, where could they do that?
Right now, it's just really Facebook, and I just got Instagram a couple months back. I'm trying to put up a video a day, and it's not going so well, but I'm trying to do a video a day on Instagram. I just have that singular YouTube video with the Squeeze Collects up right now, but hopefully that YouTube bank will be growing over the next couple years, I guess. But yeah, right now just Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
All right, awesome. And do you have the last word? What kind of words of advice do you have for the juggling community at large?
Don't settle for mediocrity in your patterns or your tricks. Just keep working on it until you feel 100% confident it's never going to get cleaner. Which I guess is a little bit of a paradox because everything can always get a little cleaner. But just don't settle for, yes, I did it, on to the next trick, I got that one. I think it was Anthony Gatto maybe who said that if it takes more than 3 tries to get a trick, you can't do it. You don't know how to do it. You have done it, but you don't know how to do it.
Right.
So I think the cleanliness and consistency helps with that, being able to just, any pattern, if someone asks me a pattern out of something in my repertoire, I can do it for shot, you know? So go for clean, go for consistent, and try not to walk around too much.
I like that a lot. A great band, well, if you like this kind of music, called Norma Jean, has a chorus line that says, "Mediocrity is a killer." And,
ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And it's true. I think it's true.
Yeah, in everything, juggling included. It's great.
All right. Well, hey, thanks again so much for being with us. And
yeah, thank you, Sean. Thanks for asking me to do this.
No problem. We look forward to seeing more videos coming out, and hopefully, it seems like already the juggling community is going to learn a lot from you. So thanks for...
Oh, I can only hope, and thank you for the good words, and yeah, we'll cross our fingers, I guess, and see what happens.
All right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to this interview. Remember, you can check out more interviews and highlight reels at my channel. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep on juggling.
Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, be sure to support the channel. Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe.